All right, looks like we still have some people joining in, but I want to respect everyone's time here. So let's get started. I want to welcome everyone. This is the Demountable Concepts online webinar, and we're going to focus on the value provided to our truck dealer partners and how you can leverage it to win more deals. We're going to cover a lot of valuable information as to how the solution's used in the field, and that way you can really hone in on how your prospects and your customers can benefit from it. And while also positioning yourself to get more truck equipment on the road. So I thank you all for the time. Do want to mention that everyone's going to be in listen only mode throughout the webinar. However, if you have questions come up throughout, if it's something that you want to submit immediately, I have our VP of Sales, Amber. She's on here with me, ready to answer any questions that come through as I'm going through the information. But you can also feel free to hold off until the end, where I will open it up for people to submit questions directly to me, and I'll be happy to clear them for you. But you can submit them through the GoToWebinar app on your computer or your phone as well. So to give a quick rundown of what I will be covering, first off, 45 minutes, that includes question time. This should run about 35 minutes information-wise, and then, like I said, 10 minutes at the end for some Q&A. But I want to bring you through us as a company, who we are, and then I'm going to talk about both systems, the benefits involved with both. We will talk about the equipment and components and the options involved, some support items that we offer our partners, as well as some other product lines, because I don't want to short y'all the total value of DCI. So I will touch on that at the end as well. And again, open it up for Q&A in case you have anything come up throughout. So let's hop right into it. Who are we? So DCI group of companies, we have three divisions. We have Demountable, which we're here to talk about today. We also have My Glass Truck, and we have Fleet. And I'll touch on both of those at the end, but we've been in business for over 30 years. We're located in New Jersey, and we do business with hundreds and hundreds of companies across many different industries throughout North America, including many of the largest fleets. And what we do is we manufacture the demountable equipment at our facility, and then we work with you, the truck dealer, and also the bodybuilders to deliver this best-in-class product to the end users that use it in the field. How we do that really is what you see on your screen. It not only helps us, get to that end goal, but it describes us as a company. This is who we are. This is our 6 core values. It's how we work so well together, internally between all our departments. But we also like to exert these values outward to our customers and partners, such as yourselves, because we feel that if everybody is practicing these values, we see the success. We see that end result of getting this equipment on the road. And it grows our partnerships with you all across the country, not only to grow our portfolio, but more importantly, grow with our partners and win more deals together. So to help do that, we also have a process in place that's evolved over the 30 years that we've been in business. And what it does is it provides the support to our truck dealer partners throughout the entire project and interaction. And all this shows is that Demountable is going to be there to help you from the beginning when we're on that conference call with your customer or your prospect, and we're asking the right questions about, our operations, to learn more about your client's business, because ultimately we want to go back to our team, engineer the best solution for them, build it, deliver it, and then train your customer on it as well. And then after they're running it and seeing the benefits, we're going to still be there to support you and your customer through any questions or concerns that come up throughout the life of the demountable equipment. So, ultimately, you're going to feel confident that you're not just providing your customer a piece of equipment, but you're going to get a partner that's going to invest in the furthering success of your customer's operation, but also your sales pipeline too, because everybody wins in this process. So that's going to be the overlying topic of this webinar: growing your pipeline and closing more deals through the value that the demountable solution provides. So any great salesperson knows that building trust with your clients is key to not only winning deals, but also growing the account and getting that quote unquote comeback business in the future. So our solution is a great way to get in the door of those tough to crack accounts, steal business from the competition, and grow your share of wallet with current customers. And it all comes down to one word. And again, that word is value. So I wanna teach y'all why this system is used by so many companies. And the first system that I want to talk about is Swap Body. But before we talk about how it's used, let's talk about what it is. Like, what is Swap Body? So really, it's a lean, efficient delivery operation meant to reduce loading expense while driving more quality daily deliveries. So the Swap Body system, it's a strategy meant for deliveries within 100 miles of a distribution center. And it's best described as a tractor trailer drop and hook, but for straight trucks. So the picture you see on your screen does a great job of explaining that, I think. So let's hop into how it's used. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a series of infographics. They're broken up into sections. Each section will light up green, and I'll bring you through each step in detail as we progress through it. So to start, the driver comes in, starts their shift. They come into a preloaded truck, and they immediately start making deliveries. Now, while they're out making deliveries, a spare body or maybe two are back at the warehouse on legs being loaded. So basically, while that truck is making deliveries with the driver, there are bodies back at the warehouse. As product comes off the line, it's going right into those bodies. So you are essentially loading and delivering the same truck at the same time. The only way to achieve this is with Demountable. So when a driver returns empty from their shift, they drop the empty body and hook up to a full body, and they do it in 10 minutes. It's a very quick and efficient process to swap between different demountable bodies. And what this does is it allows companies to have trucks come and go throughout the day. So ultimately, it's going to result in more deliveries being made per day at a much lower cost back at the warehouse. Now let's talk about that cost part of it. I mean, it's pretty obvious as to how we can make more deliveries, I think, in this, but we'll expand on that as well. So let's compare that to a traditional truck method. So traditionally, you're going to be waiting as a company for a truck to return at the end of the day to begin loading tomorrow's deliveries, right? So you're staging product at the bay door, waiting for the truck to come back. Then you're starting to load it on either a second shift or overtime, or you're scrambling to load them first thing in the morning before your drivers leave. Either way, you're going to result in more costs at the warehouse, or you're going to have driver downtime. But what Swap Body does is it allows that body to be back at the warehouse all day, being loaded as product comes off the line. So it's eliminating any rushing around to load that truck when it returns. So the driver returns empty at the end of their shift again and takes 10 minutes to drop an empty and hook up to a loaded body. Now, I mentioned driver downtime. Drivers sometimes are waiting for their trucks to get loaded or are even helping load the trucks themselves, which doesn't make any sense because ultimately you hire a driver as a company to drive and make deliveries, not to load your trucks. You have warehouse workers to do that, right? So they're meant to be out there generating revenue for your company. And what Swap Body does, it allows those drivers to arrive and start their shift to a preloaded truck and immediately start making deliveries. So again, it's going to result in more delivery time for your drivers, which means you have a higher capacity of deliveries per day and better customer service offerings to your customers as a company. Now, continuing with the driver and the efficiencies there, with that 10-minute swap time, you can easily drop an empty midday and pick up a full body to make even more deliveries, or in some cases, same day. We've had customers, and I'll actually show you a couple examples of this, where they've adopted this to get that preload option. Said, okay, well, I want to eliminate my second shift. I want to be able to load during normal business hours. And then they saw how quick the process was of swapping and how easy it is to just load stuff onto a body, that they were able to turn a second 26-foot body full of deliveries in the same day. So now they're making two full loads in the same day versus one. So, and again, this is great for those like hot orders that I'm sure your customers are getting those phone calls last minute. Oh my God, I forgot to put that order in yesterday. Well, guess what? They have the Swap Body system now. They can throw it on the body, driver comes back, hooks up, and can make that last minute order. Happy customer, right? And come back business. Again, more value to offer. Now, fleet utilization is another one I want to touch on. And this one, again, is going to really harp on value. So a lot of companies will say to us when we have these conversations, well, I have double the amount of trucks than I have drivers. So I just have a truck stay back at the warehouse all day long getting loaded while the other truck is out making deliveries. Driver comes back, parks the truck at the warehouse. Now the other truck is loaded and is ready to go for another round of deliveries. What's the issue here? Well, the issue is that they're completely overfleeted. So imagine walking into a Conquest account yourself, right? Walking into a Conquest account and or a competitor's account. And this is a great way to get in the door with them. The competitor's been selling them trucks just to sell them trucks. They've been having a 15-year relationship, whatever. You go in and say, hey, listen, I can cut your fleet in half, or I can cut your fleet in a third, right? So imagine the value you provide right then and there. Guarantee you get a meeting with them to at least talk about this. Um, the other great part about this is you can have different style bodies per truck, which is extremely popular. We do a lot of business with building supply companies. It's extremely popular at lumber yards because imagine a lumber yard. When you drive in a lumber yard, you see curtain side trucks, you see flatbeds, you see van bodies, all types of styles. You can have one chassis be a flatbed, take the flatbed off, be a curtain sider, take the curtain sider off, be a van body. So you have all these lumber yards that are offering all these different products that now you can use one chassis and have your utilizations probably in the 90th percentile and just continuously run that truck delivering all different style products on different style bodies. Again, all with the same truck. Now, I mentioned that I have some examples. So let me show you some of the customers that we do business with. First one's Pella. I'm sure everyone probably has heard of Pella windows and doors, but they've been using swap body for over 20 years, and they've grown to have over 20 locations utilize it throughout the nation. You can see the numbers from the equipment standpoint, what they have out in the field today. And obviously, when you see this type of growth, you got to ask, hey, what kind of ROI are you seeing? And they were able to report back to us that 25% reduction in warehouse labor costs just by eliminating second shifts and eliminating any type of overtime for after hours loading. But in addition, something they didn't expect was that 40% increase in deliveries because now they were offering same day deliveries and getting more hours for their drivers per day. So you're driving top line revenue while also eliminating that below the line expense. Another good example is Ashby Lumber. They're a top 100 pro sales lumber company in the United States. They're based in California, and they hand load from the ground up via a forklift. So you can imagine how long it takes to load a truck body. They were having drivers wait. They weren't getting drivers down or out on time. So what they did is they got the swap body system. Driver left in the morning, and all throughout the day, that body standing, you see standing in the middle of the lot there, would get loaded. Truck comes back, drops the empty off, hooks up to the full. Now the driver's ready to go first thing in the morning. So eliminated all that driver downtime. Similar situation with Riverhead, another top 100 lumber company up in New York. They were actually loading at night on overtime, but also scrambling to get the bodies finished loaded in the morning. So drivers were having downtime. They were also having after hours overtime expense. So kind of like a double-edged sword here, where they invested in a couple of swap body systems to pilot it. They are now growing it going into 2021, and they're slowly getting rid of that overtime, and they're getting drivers out first thing in the morning. So these are just a few examples of the companies that are using swap body. But now that we've covered the local delivery, I want to take it a step further and talk about remote distribution through our second system, which is called Warehouse on Wheels. So what is Warehouse on Wheels? And I'm going to bring up those two hot words again: lean, efficient delivery operation meant to grow market reach while reducing overhead costs like cross-docking, driver windshield time, and warehouse labor. The solution's meant for deliveries in a remote market that's 150 miles to 300 miles away from the distribution center. It's similar to a line haul pup double operation, but with the final mile delivery vehicle being a straight truck instead of a tractor. So before I move on to the process and how it all works, I want to note one thing. With this Warehouse on Wheels system, every truck body, the truck bodies you see on your screen right now, have a rear door, but also have a front roll overhead door. This makes it possible to load both of those bodies you see on your screen out of one bay door on that demountable trailer that you see underneath them. So it saves bay door space, it saves warehouse space, but it also makes the loading process that much more efficient because you're loading two bodies at the same time out of the same bay door. Now, let's talk about how this all works, how warehouse on wheels process works. Similar to the swap body system, I'm going to show you the same type of infographic broken up into sections. So in this example, we have two 26-foot truck bodies mounted on a 53-foot demountable trailer, and they're being loaded at the distribution center. Now, before I move on from this step, I want to mention that we can also do three 17-foot truck bodies or four 12-foot truck bodies on a trailer as well, depending on the industry and the product and so forth. But in this example, we're going to do two 26-foot bodies on the trailer. Now they have front and rear doors. So the product is loaded in route order and it's not touched again until it's coming off the final mile straight truck at the final mile delivery location. Now this process is usually, the loading process is happening in the early evening hours or throughout the day so that the bodies are fully loaded for the line haul drivers to take later on in the night. Now, when it comes to the line haul, usually between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., these loaded trailers are transported via a tractor and a Class A driver to a remote market that's 150 to 300 miles away. Then, when the driver gets to that remote market, there's typically a swap yard that they're pulling into. They drop both 26-foot demountable bodies off the trailer onto their legs, and then they pick up two empty 26-foot bodies from the day before, and usually those are loaded with any trash, returns, broken product, and those empties are brought back to the main distribution center for cleaning and prep for the next day's loading and ultimate line haul the following night. So now that we have two loaded, and let's go back to that swap yard in the remote market. We have two loaded 26-foot bodies staged in the yard. And when the straight truck drivers show up in the morning to start their shift, they each take just 5 minutes to back under their respective body and begin starting their deliveries right away. It's important to note that these delivery straight trucks, these final mile straight trucks, and these final mile drivers are all stationed and live in the remote market 150 to 300 miles away from that distribution center. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. So ultimately, what this process is doing is it allows them to spend more time making their deliveries and completing their routes before heading back to the yard at the end of the day, dropping off the empty bodies for the tractor trailer to pick up later that night. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this solution addresses many challenges in remote market distribution. First one I want to mention is those redundant operations resulting in higher costs, like cross-docking and regional warehousing. So in a typical operation, you have a main distribution center that's feeding regional cross-docks where product is line hauled from the DC to the regional cross-dock. Product is unloaded off of the trailer, cross-docked through the facility into a box truck, and then delivered. This is resulting in more warehouse labor to move material from trailer to truck, not to mention the millions of dollars, and I'm serious, millions of dollars in warehouse lease and operating costs annually. But by using the warehouse on wheel system, customers can cut out the need to touch product after it is initially loaded, which eliminates the need for regional warehouse labor costs. But most importantly, it offers the option to consolidate inventory into a centralized distribution center and eliminate those high-cost regional warehouse locations. Now, sticking with the warehouse and the inventory challenges, I want to touch on product touches. I mentioned this in the previous slide. Normal hub and spoke distribution consists of loading at the distribution center, line hauling, unloading at a regional cross dock, only to be loaded again into a delivery vehicle. This is a total of 4 product touches when you add in the final mile delivery as well. Now, anyone in a warehouse management role or experience, with warehouse loading, more product touches increases the risk of product loss because now you're talking about breakage, damages, so forth. However, with warehouse on wheels, you eliminate the cross-dock, cut out the product touches in half. And again, once the product is loaded on those two bodies on that trailer at the distribution center, the product's not touched again until it's coming off the straight truck in that final mile market. Now, I want to also talk about, we're kind of moving towards those truck drivers here, the long drives, windshield time. We had customers, instead of cross-docking, right, instead of doing the line haul, hub and spoke cross-dock, they were just sending their straight trucks direct from their distribution center to the final mile market. This has their delivery drivers spending 2 to 3 hours in a truck before even, at least 2 to 3 hours, before even making their first delivery. That's just wasted time and wasted expense. But after using warehouse on wheels, you cut out any sort of traffic delays, right? Because now that you're not sending box truck drivers from your DC to final mile market, you're doing a line haul overnight off hours, no traffic. So you're cutting out any risk of traffic delays, reducing the windshield time, and you're freeing up more time to make the revenue generating deliveries that those drivers need to be making. It also allows drivers to really focus on the quality of their deliveries because it gives them more time to get it done so they can focus on the customer experience more versus having to drive there and get there on time and leave one delivery to get to the next. Now, an added bonus that we'd love to say that we thought of everything when we come up with this stuff, right? But an added bonus that we found and that our customers have found was that there was an expansion of the driver pool. We all know how hard it is to find drivers. Now with this, you can hire drivers in multiple markets. So you have a greater selection to pick from. And so companies have seen greater success in finding and hiring new drivers this way as well. And sticking with that theme, the driver pool and finding drivers, some people say, and I mentioned this before, well, just do a pup double operation, right? It's typically the same thing. You send out doubles from your DC, drop in a yard, 2 tractors live there, they pick them up and go make deliveries for final mile. Now, I know most, if not all of you on this webinar have had customers that had a hard time finding drivers. And when you drill down to Class A drivers, right now, current situation, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But when you deliver, and when you deliver with pups, you do have that swap and go type operation, like I said, but you're tied into using a Class A driver, not only to line haul, but now do the final mile delivery. It's way more effective to have your customer expand their driver pool, keep the Class A drivers for your line haul, and use non-CDL drivers to make those final mile deliveries in the remote markets. This is all possible, again, with the warehouse on wheels system. The other added benefit, there's 2 more I want to touch on. Pups don't have front doors, so you need to load 1 trailer per bay door. So now you're tying up bay doors. You're also tying up time to move a trailer out of the way once it's loaded and move an empty into its place in order to load both. And lastly, from a financial standpoint, there's no FET on truck bodies, but you're paying FET on pups. So you save some expense there at purchase time as well. And the last challenge for warehouse and wheels that I want to mention focuses on growth. So as companies test the waters in new markets and grow to the point they believe a physical location is necessary, they're faced with a lot of overhead and a lot of budgeting for CapEx to make that happen. But with the warehouse on wheels system, you can simply just deploy this solution out of your distribution center into a new market and immediately begin making deliveries in that new remote market without the need for a warehouse. All you need is maybe a small office and a lot to swap the bodies from the trailer to the trucks. And lastly, since the system is so flexible and portable, it's not a permanent thing, right? It's a truck, it's got wheels, it moves. So it's a flexible, portable solution, unlike a cross dock, which is very permanent. You can scale up and scale down the amount of warehouse on wheels equipment based off of the fluctuating demand in the remote market. So if remote market A is seeing more demand than remote market B, just take some of that warehouse and wheel equipment from B and move it to A, and vice versa as you need it. So as the year and demand fluctuates, your equipment can as well between markets. So overall, It's no secret why so many distributors and customers use this. I want to touch on a couple across different industries. The first one's furniture. Haverty's Furniture. Some of you might be familiar with this company. They are a top 100 furniture company. They're national. They have 100 plus showrooms over 16 states. Before using Demountable, they had 49 warehouses servicing their 100 showrooms. They went all in, consolidated 49 warehouses into 5 centralized distribution hubs. So those 5 hubs now service all 16 states and 100 plus showrooms. And by doing so, they effectively saved $18 million annually in logistics costs between all the warehouses, all the labor, all the extra equipment, everything combined, 18 million a year saved by investing in the demountable equipment. Now the win for us and everybody on this call is on the right side in that box. Look at all that equipment that's on the road still. So despite everything, there's still a ton of equipment on the road. And that's kind of what I'm trying to explain here, is that we're here to get more truck equipment on the road with you. Now, another industry this is popular in is beverage distribution. So Georgia Crown invested in this system in 2004. They were operating, before that though, they were operating 5 regional warehouses in Georgia and kind of just transferring product from one to the next and cross-docking it into straight trucks, line hauls. It was all over the place. What they did in 2004 is they consolidated all 5 warehouses into one main distribution center in McDonough, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. That one center now feeds the entire state of Georgia. But with the money saved from eliminating all those cross docks, they purchased a state-of-the-art handling system within that new distribution center to quickly load the product at night. So they're getting their line hauls out faster because they have a state-of-the-art sorting system. I was there, I saw it. It's pretty intense to get the product onto the trucks and get the drivers out quicker. And the last one I'll mention is food. Food distribution. So Frito-Lay, another one, over 10 years have been using our system throughout North America. And if you can believe this, it takes 6 hours to dead stack a 53-foot trailer full of potato chips. Line haul it, then unload it for another 6 hours into the cross dock, only to take 3 hours per straight truck to load up. Not to mention all the traffic and windshield time the delivery drivers are seeing from doing this during the day. So Warehouse on Wheels provided a way to load once, reduce the product shrinkage because chips are pretty fragile. They do after hours line haul, eliminated all the traffic issues, and swap onto straight trucks without the need for any type of cross dock or touching product again. So 3+ hours is on the conservative end per day of labor saved per truck. So it's a lot of money on the table that they were able to put back in their P&L. And again, that equipment count on the right-hand side there is nothing to bat an eye at, for sure. So we covered both systems. Hopefully you all understand it well enough, and I want to move on to what our system is comprised of. So let's talk about some of the components, the options, and how it all kind of comes together between Demountable and our truck partners. So the first thing I'll start with is probably what you're most interested in, and that's the chassis lift system. So the chassis lifter is the component that we mount onto the chassis frame, and it raises and lowers the body on and off the chassis. There are 2 systems. The hydraulic system on the left is our legacy system, and on the right is our newer airlift system. We will work with you and your customer, as well as our engineers, to figure out which solution is best for the customer's operation, because there's clear benefits to both. Now, these systems can be installed and usually are at our facility in New Jersey. However, we can ship a field install kit to one of our remote installers throughout the country, depending on the scope of the project. And even if you have a shop that can install hydraulic equipment or truck equipment, specialized equipment, they are more than equipped to install this lifter. We just need to get them on board with our team as well. We do this every day. So continuing on with the chassis and some of the options that are available, you can still have a lift gate. It's still an option for the chassis, and we will make a recommendation to you and or your customer based off of prior jobs. However, we work with all major liftgate manufacturers if you're tied into a specific one. It's important to note though, as you can see in the picture on the left-hand side, the liftgate does stay with the chassis. It's not mounted to the body at all. It stays with the chassis at all times. However, on the right hand, you can see when the body's mounted on the truck, it looks just like a normal liftgate would work. Now, same thing with a ramp. You can have a ramp. Usually 90% of the time, the ramp will also stay with the chassis. When the body's on the truck, it looks just like a normal pull-out ramp. You can do ramp liftgate combos as well. That's a common question we get. But for the ramp, we do have a portable option, meaning that if you have a customer, again, this is really popular in construction and building supply, a customer that wants to drop bodies and leave bodies at job sites, they obviously need a way to get in and out of the body, easily. Climbing up, 50 inches off the ground is pretty tough to do, but we can provide a portable ramp that can stay with the body when the truck leaves, so they can easily get in and out as they normally would with a normal ramp. Now that we covered the chassis section, let's move on to the body. What you see on your screen is our portion of the body. This is what we provide when it comes to a demountable body. This is called a body base frame. We build this at our facility. We send it to a bodybuilder. Instead of putting their subframe onto the production line, they put our base frame on, lay their floor down, build the body up, and now it's a complete body. The only difference is it's now demountable with legs. Now, these bodies can be built anywhere from 12 feet up to 26 feet, sometimes 28 feet, depending on the market and application, and also 96 inches or 102 inches wide. Now, we have some options available for the legs as well. The leg you see on our left is the legacy leg. These legs have been in use for over 30 years, and they can withstand 24,000 pounds when the body is standing independent of the chassis. This leg usually works for most applications, but we understand not every operation is the same. So we went ahead and designed a new braced leg up to DIN standard to accommodate heavier duty application. Now this braced leg swings down rather than pulls out, creating less required space on either side of the body to deploy the leg. So it's a great option for those tight dock spaces, but the most important part of this braced leg is that the legs can withstand 40,000 pounds, and they allow a front axle forklift load of up almost 10,000 pounds. So you can load a body standing on these braced legs with a forklift without a chassis underneath the body. Our legacy leg never really allowed for this. So this is a great option for some of the larger wholesale companies that you work with, loading bulk shipments, heavy pallets, or carts via a forklift. Now I want to show you, we have demo equipment and I'll touch on this a little bit later, but obviously right now I can't bring that to you. So I put together a couple of short little clips to hopefully show you how this all works. So the first one is our braced leg, our DIN standard leg. Just kind of give you an idea of how the operation works on it. Like I said, simply pulls out about a foot, swings down, and then a brace swings up and connects to the body and locks in place via a pin. You do that 3 more times and the body's ready to be dropped on the legs. Second is our legacy leg. This is our leg that can withstand 24,000 pounds, and it's the one that's most widely used. Pulls out about 4 feet, swings down. A brace is applied via a pin, and there you go. Do that 3 more times. Again, body's ready to be mounted. And just to kind of give you an idea, understand how efficient it is for a truck to pull out and back underneath the body, just a quick clip. And as you can see in this next view, our guide rails on the body are angled so that the driver doesn't have to be 100% perfect pulling back underneath the body. They can be off a little bit and the body will correct itself when the lifter engages the bottom of the body. So we make it as easy as possible for drivers to use. Now, the last thing I want to mention pertaining to the body are the different styles. You can have any body style be demountable. I think I mentioned this before earlier, and they all interchange. So we talk about optimizing fleet count, providing that extra value. Again, you can have a chassis be any of these body styles and they all interchange. We can make sure that that happens when we build this product. Again, very popular in the building supply industry. And the last component I'll touch on is the trailer. Again, it can haul 226s, 317s, or 412s, and it is compatible with all existing tractors. So they don't have to go and buy some specialized tractor to make it work with our trailer. It'll work. It connects via fifth wheel kingpin like a normal trailer would. Now that we covered all the equipment options, I just want to go through some quick support items, how we support our partners in the industry. So our sales team is unlike many vendors that you're used to working with in that we actually go after and pursue the end users ourselves. The thing is, the funny part is for us, is that the end users a lot of times will not reach back out to us. They'll call you instead because you're the one with the relationship. You're the one face to face. You've sold them, you've built that relationship in person. So that's why I want to have this webinar, and that's why we try to connect with you all, because we want you to feel confident, have the product knowledge, at least the basic product knowledge up front, and know that you have the support from us and that you can call us and get us involved. That's what we want, right? We want you to feel comfortable with this and work with you the whole way. So I'm going to revisit that process and expand on it that I brought up in the beginning, right? So this is kind of an expansion on that. Call us. If somebody brings this up, say absolutely no of it. I got a guy for that. Love saying that to people. I got a guy for that. Give me a call. I'll get you to the right person. If it's not me, we'll recommend a discovery call with your client. We have demo trucks and demo equipment available. We have customers in the field that we can maybe even do a demonstration at one of their locations. We will provide you a quote. By the way, we pride ourselves in providing quotes I would say 90% of the time within 24 hours of the request. We will fly out to do in-person meetings. Some of you might like to do in-person proposals. We are definitely on board with flying out and being there just to support you throughout the proposal. Ultimately, we're going to win the deal because we love winning deals. I know everyone here does. We're gonna take care of the engineering, the mountable part. We're going to build it. We're going to deliver it. But here's the most important part. We're going to train the customer on it. And I want to talk a little bit about that because this is important. We understand this is new equipment to some, and we want to ensure that new customers, new users, new maintenance shops for you all, we want to make sure everyone's comfortable with it. So we spend up to a whole day, maybe more depending on the amount of equipment, but we spend up to a whole day training drivers, supervisors, warehouse personnel, maintenance personnel, basically anyone touching the equipment. And additionally, we're going to provide manuals for future reference. We're going to give you a support website you can go on to get everything downloaded digitally and videos. And we can even offer follow-up training as well. And lastly, if your customer is interested in doing recurring annual or biannual research training, we can set that up as well for them. So wrapping up with some next steps, you probably already have, some customers, prospects in mind for this. These are the telltale signs on your screen that a company's a candidate for either of our systems. Keep this in mind as you're talking with your customers and doing your touch visits and out knocking on doors, new prospects. Don't be afraid to bring it up to them and definitely get us involved. It's definitely always worth the conversation. Like I said, we can schedule a demo. Even if it's not in person right now, we could do virtual demonstrations. We can do conference calls to discuss details further. We have awesome presentations, awesome customer testimonials to pull from. So we would love to be involved with the conversation. And, considering though that we're talking about changing an operation and we're also talking about specialized equipment, sometimes you're going to run into objections when you bring this up. So I want to cover a few of the big ones that we see when we're out making calls. One of the main ones is weight. So we're obviously adding equipment to the truck, right? That's going to reduce payload capacity. But we created this new airlift system that I talked about, right? That's lighter system than the hydraulic system. So if it's a weight conscious, a payload conscious customer, then we can offer the airlift system. And we could do a lot of other things with the truck, with the body. We can pull from so many other projects we've done to recommend some things to you guys that we could do to make it a lighter system for your customer. The other one's a forklift. Again, get that a lot when we do demos. Can I drive a forklift onto your demo truck while it's here? Sure, absolutely. We have that new braced leg option that's great for forklift loading. And the last one is, how safe is this system really? Like, is my driver going to drive away and the body fly off? When we train the drivers a 3-point never fail system to ensure that the body is locked on the chassis. There is a visual and audible alarm in the cab that will continue to go off. It blinks red in the driver's face. It's a blaring alarm that they can't turn off, and it will continue to go off as long as the body is unlocked. Once the body's locked, it'll turn off. The second item is our locking bar. There are 8 locking hooks in total that lock the body to the chassis frame. If all 8 hooks are not engaged to the body and the chassis frame, the locking bar will not raise up fully and you can't get the safety pin in. That's a telltale sign that the body's not locked on. And the last one is physically seeing the hooks over the locking bars of the body. So we train the driver to look at all 3 of those things. And if not all 3 things are checked off green, the body's not locked on, and they are to stop and retry in locking the body on. Now, before I wrap up and open it up to any questions, I'd be shorting all of you some value by not mentioning the other 2 divisions that we have. I kind of alluded to this in the beginning. Not going to spend a lot of time on it, not my area of expertise, but I want to make sure it's you know that it's available. First one is My Glass Truck. We are America's leading glass rack provider. So we are national and actually international because we sell in Canada as well. And we can provide glass racks for anything from a pickup truck, transit van, a cab over, a Zuzu type body, a Freightliner, I believe is what you see in the video or in the picture on your screen. We can even do giant trailers hauled by tractors. So sky's the limit really. And if you know a customer that's hauling flat glass, reach out to them, mention this to them. They might already be doing business with a competitor, but let them know about us. They might not know. It's worth a shot and worth a quote. You can always reach out to me and I'll get you connected to someone in that division as well. And the third division I'll mention is our fleet division. We do fleet repairs and anything but under the hood, basically. We will do light PMs and DOT inspections, but mostly it's body work, body repairs, truck repair, body repair as well. And we're regional. So if you have some national customers that are in our area, the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, you want to hook them up with us, we can get you some pricing and we can get you some competitive quotes and your customer competitive quotes. If you yourself are in our area and you're looking to partner up with a body repair company, we can set you up with an account as well. Again, just reach out to me and I'll get you hooked up with someone in that division as well to set up an account for you guys. So here's my contact info. I'm going to leave this up for now. And while I'm doing that, I want to leave a little bit of time here for you guys to submit any type of questions you have, because I'd be happy to answer them now while everybody's still on here. That's a good question. Can the equipment be leased? Yes, it can. In fact, we do that a lot. There are different ways that you could structure it, and it's really dependent upon your customer's preference from a financial standpoint, but absolutely it can be leased. Someone asked, does the truck need a PTO or really anything special on the cabin chassis? All we need is a clean frame and a specific cab to axle, really high level. I mean, that's really it. There's no PTO necessary. It's an electric over hydraulic system. And in our airlift system, it's just really all powered by an extra air tank that we mount on the chassis frame. Oh, this is one we get all the time. Okay, so do we need to get a new lifter every time we get a new truck? No, you don't. You could tell your customers this. This is a huge selling point. So our lifter systems will effectively last about 15 years or 2 truck cycles at least, with a refurbishment at some point in the middle of all that. So when they get a new truck, they can take the lifter off, refurbish it, and put it on the new lifter, or on the new chassis, I'm sorry. Same thing with the bodies. The bodies can last, geez, I mean, if you're not in the Rust Belt in the Northeast, they can last 20 years. And the trailers are the same as like your normal 53-foot van trailer. There's not much to it. So as long as you maintain it, they can last at least 2 truck cycles, up to 15 plus years as well. Someone asked, can you transport multiple size bodies with one truck chassis, or are they length specific? They are length specific for the most part. You know, we have some customers that used to use 24-foot bodies. Now they do 26-foot bodies. They can still pick their 24-foot bodies up with the 26-foot chassis. It's not ideal because you have a little bit of frame sticking out the back, but they can still make it happen. But for the most part, they are size specific. Same goes for our trailers as well. However, depending on the scope and the size of the project, we kind of have a theme like anything's possible. So, you know, reach out to us if you come across something like that. We'd be happy to explore basically anything, you know, if it makes sense. All right, great. Well, I think it looks like that's all the questions we've got. I will mention that a recording of the webinar is going to be sent out via email about an hour after this concludes. For, you know, you can use it for future reference. Feel free to share it. There's also a PDF that you can download right from the GoToWebinar app on your computer. That's an all-inclusive PDF. So it gives you everything basically that I covered, all the components, options, how customers use it. Feel free to use that, reference it, customer visits. You can use it as a handout if you need. It's a great way to at least get the foot in the door, so to speak, and you know, plant that knowledge in your customer and prospect's brain there. So with that, I want to thank everyone again for joining me and setting aside the time to learn more about Demountable. You probably have come up with ways to leverage this to win more deals. Excited about that. I want to get more equipment on the road with you. So we look forward to speaking with you more about it when the time comes. And I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll be talking to you all soon.